Today, we're going to talk about ISO, the final step in getting quality footage for post-production. ISO is the last of the big three settings we use to get a proper image for editing in post-production. While the other two settings control how much light hits our sensor, with aperture controlling how large the opening that light has to enter the camera, and shutter speed controlling how long it is allowed to be gathered, ISO controls how sensitive our sensor is to the final amount of light that makes it into the camera. ISO has a baseline starting at 100, and increases to a much larger range depending on your camera. Each time you double your ISO, your camera becomes twice as sensitive to the light that has been gathered. ISO really comes into play when you're indoors or there is less light. When we don't have enough light to work with, we must increase our camera's sensitivity so that we have footage that is bright enough to work with. However, there is a drawback to increased ISO, which is referred to as digital noise, which appears as grainy footage mainly in the shadows. Here, we're using a T2i with the kit lens, and just the normal lights in the house. To properly expose the image, we have to use an ISO of 6400. This results in cheap looking footage that isn't very pleasing to look at. So how do we fix this? Well, we could upgrade our camera's lens to one that lets in more light. The kit lens has a maximum aperture of 3.5. Let's switch to a new lens with a 2.8 aperture and see how it looks. Better, but still not the best. The ISO is now 3200, which is much cleaner, but still results in some noisy footage. The best way to rid of noisy footage is to invest in lighting gear, which will be cheaper than most big aperture zooms, and more importantly, give your footage a much more professional look, no matter whether you're filming with an Arri Alexa or your general cell phone. With the new lighting in place, we can now go all the way down to an ISO 100 with just a couple of cheap lights, and our image looks much better. ISO is a setting that is very helpful when you need to fine-tune your footage to be prepared for post-production, but it does have its drawbacks in what it can do, so be aware of your camera's limitations as you get deeper into filming, and always try to use the lowest ISO possible for a shot. Hopefully this tutorial helped you get familiar with using your camera for your own films. Be sure to check out my other content if you haven't subscribed already, and as for updates, check out my Facebook page in the description below. As always, this is Route 1 Reels, and I'll see you next week.